Hey y'all, JamiThatsMe here. Welcome back to the channel. Listen, I want to talk about the queens of hip hop at this time, the biggest ladies in hip hop. That would be Nicki Minaj as well as Miss Cardi B. All right. For those people that do not know, Cardi B, who is pregnant with her fourth child, just recently had her third child last year. She has partnered with this formula company called Bobby, right? Which is pretty dope. I said, girl, go ahead. That's what you should do. Okay. You pregnant, you should get you more deals like that, when it comes to being a mommy. Well, some of the fans are not in support. More so, you know what? I will call people that don't like the artist a fan, okay? Because the people that can't stand these artists, y'all still go and stay up to date and be so tuned in and everything that they got going on. Like you guys, like really contribute to their analytics, therefore allows them to further secure these deals because obviously they have some form of influence because you're so tuned in, right? So I would say some unhappy fans, shall I say, came to Bobby's page on Instagram to let them know that they not in support of Cardi and they should stop working with her, right? So they said Cardi has said horrible things about autism and kids. I'd never support companies who platform her. Well, baby, Bobby had a response and Bobby didn't seem to give a damn. So Bobby says we can't speak to Cardi's post on X, but we can speak from our experience working with her over the course of this campaign that she's been nothing but a fierce advocate for moms and women, a wonderful mom and a dedicated partner who authentically cares about these critical issues. All right. So Bobby is letting the people know whatever y'all trying to try, don't try it over here because we don't give a damn. Understand? Okay. We do not care about anything that y'all talking about. We've already spent this money on Cardi. We're already locked in. Okay. I don't hear no other artists out here talking about politics and stuff and what's going on in this political climate and how they over here trying to suppress formula and this, that, and the other. Like y'all not talking about those things, but Cardi is, and she makes sense for our campaign. At least that's what it appears to be. Now, Cardi did take time to go over to her spaces on last night real quick, and she called out the people that's trying to, stop a bag. And she said, y'all not stopping nothing over here. And when it comes to next year, I'm working on even more deals. So y'all might be upset with me then. She says, but even outside of the stand wars and stuff like y'all, it's really bigger than that, and she talks about what's happening in the government and how they are trying to take away, different formula and all of this other stuff. So Bobby is going down to the White House, whenever it's open time and when they're available to go, go down there to advocate for people to have, these varieties of formula and all this other stuff. So she's like, y'all, it's so much bigger than this. It's so much bigger than this stand stuff. Like, y'all don't like me and I'm trying to do something that's even bigger than what y'all talking about, right? But I'll let you guys be the judge of that, okay? But Cardi did go up. She did do a quick video on that, and that's what's going on. And I feel like this may not be the first brand to do it, but I'll say that I can recall. So maybe it's been some time. So I'll just say that, like, dang, I was not expecting. I would have expected them to probably just ignore the comments, maybe delete possibly. I was not expecting them to respond and stand on business and say, I don't give a damn what y'all talking about. We don't give a damn what y'all talking about. We're still going to rock out and continue to support her over here. Now, what you choose to do, you ain't got to work with her. Okay? You ain't got to listen to her. All right? And you about know how to coin that we got. So what you choose to do with yours, I don't give a damn. But what you're not going to do is tell us how we finna use ours. I wasn't expecting that right there, but that's what's going on, okay? So just wanted to go and get that out the way, give y'all the latest little update when it comes to Cardi. I did see where she had to snap off on somebody as well, based on some things that were said online about I believe it was like her child and stuff like that, where people, of course, they've been on her head top about things that she may have said about black women. People say, oh, you're talking about, you called us roaches, you called us monkeys. And it's like, for me, it's like, girl, she was talking to that lady. Okay. If I see another lady and somebody arguing and she calls her a pussy ass bitch, that ain't got nothing to do with me. She's calling that woman. That was for you. Don't put me in there. Why am I in it? Okay, why am I in it? Hello. So of course, some of the fans have been on her head top and stuff, and yeah, they don't like some of the things that she may have said, and Cardi was pretty much calling them out. Like, you see how. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and get this one up actually. And shout out to our friends over there at No Skips Tea, honey. So Cardi put a post up. This was at the end of September, where she says, all right, now this is your third tweet talking about my pregnancy. This is when she and Nicki got into it. So after Cardi dropped the audio, or she did the spaces talking about, her campaign with Bobby and things like that, and people trying to, affect her and stop her and stuff, she says, you guys have been pulling these same stunts since 2019. Okay. Since 2019. I feel like her saying that is basically also trying to let people know, like, I've been here for a minute now. Me dropping my second album and it's being successful. I'm here. Like, you couldn't get rid of me then. You're not getting rid of me now. And she's here. And it's like, whether y'all like it or not, you know, she's here. It is what it is. So this is where she kind of talks to Nicki about her situation. Like, you keep coming for me, you talk about my pregnancy, but I ain't saying nothing about you struggling to get pregnant. Like, don't do that. Calm down, right? So the person says, well, this is the same woman, by the way. And then they turned around, they put the tweet up, but then they turned around and privated their page. I guess they couldn't take it once Cardi decided to respond to them, and then a lot of people got in the comments from that point. So Cardi says, see how I said this your third time talking about my pregnancy? BITs was wishing HPV and all this other SHI on my pregnancy. I take that very seriously, because you never know the fate of how your baby gonna come out or the type of delivery you gonna have. Y'all not gonna rewrite what happened. She says, don't speak on my wound. I won't speak about yours, right? She says, don't speak on my kid. I won't speak about yours. Also, this is way bigger than Stan Wars. It's real stuff that's going on, especially in the black and brown communities. And y'all can't see that, but love to use black women when it's convenient for your Stan Wars. She right. I wish a lot of us would use more energy towards these politicians and the stuff that's going on, as the Supreme Court is likely about to be voting on a section when it comes to the Voting Rights Act, child. Okay? I wish some people would be more involved in their community and stuff. But it's easier to pull a phone out and, to get the tween and all of that. But, child, while y'all at it, in the middle of it, child, at least just retweet, repost some of the stuff that's going on so the people are aware. All right. But all in all, that's what's going on with Cardi B, some of the fans, as well as the campaign she has with Bobby. You guys leave your thoughts on that down below. Now I want us to talk about Miss Nicki Minaj, because somebody tapped into Miss Nicki Minaj's Amex, allegedly, according to Nicki. Now, granted, when she and Cardi were getting into their dispute, Cardi mentions the Amex. So Cardi is like, you don't have, basically the only person that has power to control you or help you out or whatever you got going on is that husband that you have, which is Kenneth Petty, right? But he not gonna help you. He not gonna say nothing, because you know what happens to that Amex when you sedate it or something like that, she said. But she mentions the Amex specifically, right? I don't know if that prompted Nicki to go and do some research on some things, or if there was an alert that she got on her phone at a later time that was like, what is this? And then she started to go look into the Amex, not necessarily sure. But details started to come out about that. Okay. So Nicki did a post where she was showing all of these transactions that happened, but we don't know where the transactions are from, who did the transactions. We don't know. But Nicki said at first that it was 3 people. And then she said a couple of those people have been doing it for years. She didn't even know how they got access to the new card number. Somebody had been tracking her on their phone. Then she said it was a 4th person. Then she said that she was in a group chat with these people. They sounded so dumb. So it is a lot going on over there. Nicki went on to kind of like just, go on her usual, rants or whatever over on Twitter, where she had a lot of things to say. One of the things that she did go on to mention was, this was crazy. I'm going to just say this. She feels like Roc Nation is somehow involved in what happened, is what it sounds to me. She also mentioned Donald Trump. She mentioned Kamala, where a lot of people felt like she was more so supporting Trump, because she says thanks, POTS, whatever, POTUS, President of the United States. And people were like, oh, she supports Trump or whatever. She's coming for Kamala. And it has just been a whole mess. It's just been a mess. And after that post, a lot of people start going crazy about it. Especially with the world that we're living in right now. A lot of things that's happening, a lot of things that people are not approving or in support of. So people just start going haywire. So it resulted, in my opinion, from what it looks like, that Nicki put a post up saying, hey, that's it, y'all win. Or at least more so, Sean Carter, Roc Nation, you win. I'm no longer going to do the album anymore, right? She says no more music. I'm not doing it. Hope you happy. Bye, Barbs. Love y'all for life. Y'all want me gone? I'm gone, right? I didn't think she was going to stick to that much longer. She came back, and then, of course, she says that she will be doing the album and stuff. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. Now, yesterday, when it came down to these charges and things that happened on her account, it was a name that was put out there. I believe his name is DeAndre, right? I wasn't ready to put the name out because I was like, I don't know. We're going to see how this play out. Well, a name was dropped, and his name was DeAndre. He's the stylist to Nicki Minaj. And this name was put out there saying that he was one of the people that ended up stealing from Nicki Minaj, allegedly, or at least using her card, right? So this information was put out by Tasha K. So then this guy came back with a cease and desist letter. Like, girl, you're sitting up here defaming me, you're lying on me, none of that is true, and if you don't, apologize or make a statement or whatever by a certain time period, then I'm gonna sit up here and I'm gonna sue you, right? So matter of fact, let's get over here where the over here to Red Media. They're saying she shared a screenshot of her conversation. Yes, so this person, DeAndre, is telling Tasha, you lying on me, that's not what happened. And yeah, I need you to come out and correct that statement. If you don't, I'm gonna sue you. Okay. Now, actually, I want to go back to No Skips Tea, because then once this was put out, Tasha decided that she actually, yeah, we'll do this. So actually, so No Skips Tea, Tasha decided to put out this, okay? And this happens to be a message between she and Nicki on Monday. Whew. So Nicki hops in her DMs, Tasha's, and says, DeAndre been stealing. I filed a report in Cali a couple of weeks ago. So it looks like he's not the only one that's been stealing money. She says a doctor was caught red-handed today as well. DeAndre Tristan stylist equals thief. Report filed. So Tasha responds to Nicki and says, on it. Okay. So I do believe Tasha put this message out like, yeah, you telling me cease and desist, and you're telling me you gonna sue me, but this is where I got it from, directly one of the sources that's involved with this situation, who's saying that her card was violated by you. So you want to come for me, you might want to go for her. Okay. I just reported it. I ain't put you all in it. I reported it, and the report came from Nicki. All right. So that's what's going on. It's been a whole lot, right? So much so that even Tasha and Ra Ali are now added. Okay. Now, I had already been thinking for some time, and when we first started talking about this Nicki and this Cardi B, and the way Cardi was lashing out and saying certain things that she already knew about Nicki, I'm not gonna hold y'all. I did say it in one of my videos earlier on. I did question whether Raw gave that information. And I said I don't know that to be true, so I don't want to put her name in the mix, but I'll be honest and say she was one of the first people that came to mind, being the fact that she was friends with Remy, switched up on Remy, became friends with Nicki, gave Nicki tea, or whatever the case was. And then now I don't even really see Nicki and Raw like they used to be. So I always thought, like, at least for the past, like since this year, maybe last year, I said I don't think these two ladies are as cool as they once were. And it seems like Tasha K came out and pretty much confirmed that. So Tasha did put a post up, and on that post that Tasha put up, she pretty much called out Raw. And the reason she called her out was because Raw defended DeAndre. Okay. Raw was defending DeAndre, saying that she knew him or whatever the case was. Like, I know him. He's not a thief or anything like that. And then referred to Tasha as that YouTube lady or whatever the case is. So now, Tasha is offended at this point. Okay. So Tasha responds. Okay. She asks her on a message where she posted something up about she posted that message between she and Nicki, and then she added DeAndre, and then she also added Ra Ali, and she was just like, now you can go and report on this then, ma'am. Okay, since you want to talk about something, why don't you go and talk about this? Okay. So they got some drama and stuff going on. So girl, this stuff is it's just growing legs, and it's a lot going on. I did catch a bit of Tasha Spaces that she did on Twitter, not all of it, but she did kind of say something and touch on the fact that Nicki is kind of like going through it a little bit. I don't know if this situation has her shook as for somebody stealing from her, or if it's something else, with the whole Cardi and Nicki situation going on. But she did kind of allude to the fact that Nicki got some stuff going on, but she's getting it together. Right? She did say that she's getting it together, and she'll be fine or whatever. So something is happening behind the scenes with with Onika aside from just her money being stolen. But hopefully she's able to figure that out, you know. Um yeah, just a tough situation. But I want us to check out this person who just swears that Nikki may not be telling the truth. And I don't know why she decided to act that lady. And see, this what be bothering me. When y'all know people be stressed out, why y'all be acting on folks? Well, y'all, it's like, especially when it comes to the stands for me, because I feel like sometimes y'all forget that these celebrities are human and they go through some of the same mental health things as other people may go through. And it's like, I hate when I see stands trying to get their fave involved in drama that they ain't even thinking about. I see where people have tried to force the Meg versus Cardi situation, Meg versus Glow, and that could or could not be something, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Where they've tried to force the more of the Megan versus Nicki, the Cardi versus Nicki, Nicki versus Cardi, Nicki versus everybody. And it's like, hey, bro, if y'all really care about y'all faves, like, chill out until they come out and it's like some direct hits or something like that. Sometimes I'm like, just chill, because you don't know how that may be affecting their mental. That's why I love that Megan Thee Stallion sat down and she talked about like being chart obsessed. But it's not even just chart obsessed, it's drama obsessed between the ladies in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, Twitter takes it to another level. And I love that Megan is at this place where she'll step back and withdraw, right? Because she just wants to do the music. She just wants to have fun. She just wants to put it out and live her life and keep it pushing. Like, I didn't get in it for all of this drama that y'all got going on, right? And I thought about Megan because, you know, she ended up going to the game. Her husband, Clay, I'm sorry, not husband. Ooh, not me speaking to, is it? Is it going to be that? But her boyfriend, Clay, had a game and she went to the game and sat with his mom and stuff. And I said, I bet you she's been in such a happy space, it seems, that I bet you she probably be looking at this Nicki and Cardi stuff and like, girl, I'm glad I ain't got nothing to do with that. Anyway, what you want to eat for dinner? Okay. She's probably glad with the space that she's in. But I just wish people would just realize that element of it, that our faves are human. All right. Now, sometimes they're going to have to get called out about some things. And I get that because some stuff they bring on themselves, right? However, it's the stuff that they don't bring on themselves where y'all try to create or force a narrative and yada, 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 and try to get somebody to respond. And what if they're trying to avoid that for? Like, what if they're trying to, like, I see what that person said. I don't care to respond to them. I ain't even trying to address it. But the Twitter stands will make you feel like you gotta address every single thing. You gotta da 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 da. And I feel like that's one of the worst parts of being a celebrity, where you're so engulfed in your fan base that you have to move somewhat to the beat of their drum versus your own. And I feel like for me, I feel like Meg took her power back just a little piece. Okay. But I'm gonna let y'all leave your thoughts on that as we go over here to this TikToker that has some things to say about this situation with Nicki.
What the fuck is going on with Nicki Minaj today, and why is she lying to us? Allegedly. So, if you did not know, early this morning, Nicki Minaj took to Instagram to talk about how there were some fraudulent charges made to her Amex card, which is hilarious when you remember that Cardi B called this out a couple weeks ago. Now, Nicki Minaj was saying that it was 3 different people in a span of 2 months, but she specifically did say that it was her Amex that was being used. And in Cardi B's tweet, when they were going back and forth about their kids, she mentioned that Kenneth is the one that is allegedly using Nicki's card without her permission. She also went on to say that one of the thieves had actually been tracking her location with a tracking device. And then she proceeded to post screenshots of these unauthorized transactions. And I use the word unauthorized loosely because this doesn't really prove anything, right? This could be a screenshot of any transaction, even ones that she made. Even more so when you consider that this is coming straight from her Apple Wallet. And if you don't believe me, this is a screenshot from my own Apple Wallet where you can see it looks identical, with the exception of the couple things here and there that she happened to scratch out.
So is it this Apple? Okay, so this is are you sure this is an Apple Wallet? Girl, I would have to go into my Apple Wallet, like, but it still has American Express underneath. I mean, unless that's the card she got linked to it. I would think that I'm gonna be over here looking at my own wallet while she over here talking.
Now, why is this important? Well, you have to consider that due to the fact that this card is an Amex card, For this transaction or any of the other ones that she showed to show up in her Apple Wallet, it means that Apple Pay must have been used one way or the other. Either in the online
That's not
checkout of a
true.
store, they used Apple Pay to pay automatically, which would mean that that person had access to Nicki Minaj's phone, or they were at a store in person and still used Apple Pay on Nicki Minaj's phone to tap and pay for a purchase.
No, I actually disagree with that. I don't believe that. So my Amex is connected to my wallet, but I see my transactions that are swiped directly to my Amex. Not I haven't been using my wallet. I don't use my wallet with my, you know what I'm saying? But I'm able to see any transactions that were taking place on there. Now, granted, Nikki could have been looking at her card to like looking at her at her wallet to see what transactions could have come off of her actual Amex card, right? But when you got that much money and stuff, and when you got money in the bank, you ain't really think about this for real, you know. So for me, I don't think Nikki thought about it. I think something else may have come up, and it may not have even been anything Cardi said to make Nikki check her card or what her wallet or whatever, or check her Amex or whatever. It could have been something Cardi said that triggered it, or it could have been something else that came to her that was like, let me check this. Like, what is this? I ain't see this payment before. So now she's going through her transactions on her wallet. She can log into her Amex and look at the transactions like that too. You know, but if you're just over here just looking like, oh, okay, yeah, so that came out, oh, okay, bet. You feel like, I mean, huh? So I have to disagree. I have to disagree with that portion. Okay. It don't sound like, because what it sounds like this young lady is trying to say is that Nikki used or either her husband used it because the transactions came directly from her wallet. And part of that could be true that it came from the wallet, but also it could be that whoever was using her Amex, because it is connected to her wallet on her iPhone, she is able to see every transaction. I don't get notifications on my wallet. So with her, she may not get notifications either. You know what I'm saying? Or she might. Who know? I don't know how she does her thing. But yeah, all in all, I'm kind of disagreeing with a bit of what she's saying. Y'all follow me. Hopefully you do.
Now, when you consider that Nicki said that the latest thieves even had her latest and like newest credit card number, it's looking more and more like the call is coming from inside the house, allegedly. Now, the reason I ask if it's possible that Nicki's lying to us is because just today, a nice little exclusive article from US Weekly drops discussing how Nicki and her husband are at risk of losing their home. Now, enter Thomas. Thomas used to be one of Nicki and Kenneth's security guards up until 2019 when Kenneth punched him in the face for absolutely no reason. He alleges that during a show, a fan rushed the stage. Nicki was upset. He tries to defuse the situation between Nicki and another female security guard. Kenneth punches him so hard that it requires surgery for him to fix his jaw. He ends up suing Nicki and Kenneth and wins by default because they never respond to the lawsuit, which is insane when you consider you're a multi-millionaire. You have a business. You have multiple businesses. Don't you have business insurance? Don't you have lawyers for this type of thing? Anyway, he gets awarded a little bit over $500,000, and I'll let you take a guess as to whether Nicki and Kenneth paid him. They didn't. Now we're 6 years later, and he still doesn't have a single penny from Nicki or Kenneth. So what does he do? Naturally, he goes back to the courthouse, and he's asking the court to force Nicki Minaj to sell her $20 million home. Now, Nicki does have a $13 million mortgage on the home, which means that if she sells it, she has to pay back the mortgage and she has to pay back Thomas. But Thomas's lawyers are basically saying that with $6 to $7 million left over, surely she would have enough to pay his $500,000. Now it's going to be up to the court to decide if she's going to be forced to sell her home. Now, this is where these two things kind of connect for me. Is it possible? Is it possible in a perfect world that Nicki Minaj receives notice, her and her team receive a heads up, maybe a phone call asking for a comment on this article that's going to be published as an exclusive for US Weekly? Nicki and her team know that so far they've already been unable to like beat the allegations of Nicki being broke. So what do? They're like, we might need a little distraction. Because what is the likelihood that both of these things happen on the same day? And what better way to do that than to not only talk about unauthorized charges, but to specifically mention the Amex, which they know was the topic of conversation between her and Cardi B a couple weeks ago during their beef. And they just know it'll drive way more clicks and views to Nicki and her social media than the article on US Weekly. But anyway, that's just how my brain works. That's just the thought process that went on in my mind. But I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Because
Whew.
truly, I just don't see a world in which Nicki Minaj would go to Instagram just to prove Cardi B right and not have like an ulterior motive for that. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. What the fuck?
All right, y'all. So that's what this young lady said. For me, I don't see them making Nikki sell her house. To me, I feel like, and from what the document appeared, it seems like they would have to give her another, like another chance, basically, to like pay it off. I think that's a bit. I don't know. I want to say that it's a bit extreme that she has, like, whether she owes money on the house or however it is, the homestead or whatever she got going, the homestead exemption she has and some other stuff. That might be that's going to be more than enough, of course, to satisfy the $500,000. And I don't know if there's any interest that's supposed to be given on that too. But I just feel like if my house is worth multi millions of dollars, like, why I gotta sell my shit to satisfy your little 500,000? Like, no. So I'm sure she's gonna figure out a way for her attorneys to push back and change that, because I do think they have to give her some other alternatives before they could just sell her house. So, or force her to sell her house. Not sure. We'll have to find it out. But um, yeah, like, why I gotta do that? And the reason why I'm wondering is because when I think about the game, because they made the game sell his house to satisfy a debt that he owed somebody, but I thought he owed that lady more than 500,000. I thought she probably was owed a few million, which is why he was forced to sell that home. So I don't know. I mean, the judge could turn around and be on something like, yeah, you gotta go ahead and sell that. All right, because we've given you oh so much of time. Y'all have clearly showed that you're not interested in paying. So yeah. And I mean, the judge may say, sell it, or he or she could say, well, no, we won't sell it if you can at least satisfy or pay oh so much today to the victim. So can you satisfy at least 10%, and then we work on whatever payment plan moving forward? So I don't know. The judge, it could go either way. But I just feel like that's crazy to me. To make a person sell a multi-million-dollar house to satisfy a $500,000 debt. Now, granted, yes, if you were found guilty in something and you owe this person money, pay it. Pay them their damn money. Get them folks their coin. Okay? Because that's what's been ordered of you. But at the same time, I don't know. Y'all leave y'all thoughts down below, okay? Um, girl, that's all I got. That's all I got. All right. I feel like more stuff, as I told you guys, will be continuing to come down the pipeline with this situation with Nicki Minaj. And ain't no telling what other legs finna grow, what other names are about to come out. Now, she is saying that she's filed a report on this young man regarding her Amex being spent up. She also said that it was about 4 people involved. That's also been alleged. People are saying that they can't find said police report that's being alleged. I don't know if something was filed or not. I just know that Nicki said that she filed something a few weeks ago. Right? I don't know, which is also interesting considering the fact that if she filed that a few weeks ago, that also would have been around the same time that Cardi B highlighted the AMX. So I don't know what's going on. Some people are thinking that Nicki is combing through her information because they think that she's probably gonna try and gear up to like sue Cardi B for knowing certain information. But I feel like it's another thing similar to what Tasha just did when that guy sent her a cease and desist and said, "Oh, you're defaming me. You need to apologize X, Y, and Z, or I'm gonna sue you." Tasha like, I'm gonna put this message out because this who gave me the information. So you need to go talk to Nicki, right? So it could be a situation where Nicki could be upset. Cardi, you said this and that. I want to sue you, and Nicki and Cardi may be like, here are the sources. I'm gonna have to present my sources should you take me to court. So these are the individuals. Now you got to confirm whether you know them or not, and whether you told them lies or not, and you just gave them information to see where it was gonna go. You still told them information, and they confirming that it came from them. So I don't know. I don't know if a lawsuit is in place. I don't know what the hell going on. I'm just here to report the little piece that I do know. Okay, that's all I got. Feel how you feel. Leave it in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.
Telling my priest to the choir, stand with my feet to the fire, give all the glory to God. Stand in the midst of these haters, I'm silent, nobody can stop me. Just gotta check in my notification, them numbers hit like it's a praxis. Cashed out